wonderful to be back here in Washington area. And as we have an opportunity to be here this evening, I'd like to talk about detoxing the mind for happiness and for peace. We're all seeking a life which will be happy. We all want peace in our lives. But what is very interesting is, when you look at the meaning of peace, it says an absence of strife. And strife is a part of life. You get up in the morning in your households, there's a little strife before you get to work. If your breakfast is late or you run into some traffic on the road, there's always some commotion in your life. And then you get to work and things sometimes don't happen as you think they would. And so stress and strife are a part of life. And as we start to think about how do we lead a life in which there would be peace and there would be calm, we look back at the lives of the great saints and mystics. Over the ages, in all traditions, in all faiths, in all parts of the world, great saints and mystics have come. And they've all talked about a life of eternal happiness. A life which is peaceful, a life which is calm, a life which is tranquil, a life which is in harmony with the divine. And they've all showed ways and means to the people of their times to be able to get to those states. And so today, when we live in an age which is technologically very advanced, in which science is trying to unravel the mysteries of this universe and all the mysteries that have been there, in which we are taught as we go through school to only believe in that which can be proved scientifically. See, wonder, can we prove the presence of God, number one? Can we prove the presence of a relationship with God, number two? And can we attain some connection with God so that our lives will be calm and peaceful? And so as we start to dig in those questions, we start to do research on our own through our scriptures in whatever faith we are. As we dig deep into them, the answer to all those questions is yes. God the Creator, who created everything, is in the creation. And so we who in this world to find happiness and joy are looking at objects of this world, realize that that's not where happiness will come from. As a child, when a child sees a toy on TV, they want it, they think it'll make them happy. And we who are parents have bought tons of toys for our kids know that we buy them a toy, they play with it for a day or two, and it sits in a closet someplace. So the happiness that the child thought he or she would get for a long time is fleeting, for a short while. And the same thing happens with all of us adults. We want to buy a new car and we want to keep it nice for a few days, and after a while something else comes up. And we want one gadget or another. And we find that anything that we relate to in this world does not give us joy which will be lasting for all times to come. And then we start to wonder why. If we look at life itself, everything in this physical world is temporary. Sometimes buildings may stay for 1,000 years, 2,000 years. You go to Greece, you go to Rome or other places, and you have buildings that were there from long times. But then they also deteriorate with time. Everything else that we find in the physical world with time decays. Relationships that we develop, whether they're in our family, with friends, with grandparents, with parents, we find that with time they also physically leave us. People whom we might be very close to, unfortunately we might have a disagreement on something or a misunderstanding, and then those who gave us the most joy in our life are the ones who become the source of all pain. And things that we amass, that we think will really make us happy, we realize with time deteriorate and we're not getting the happiness that we think we can. And so, where do we get the happiness from which is going to be lasting? When we look back at any one of our faiths, all of our faiths have two sides to them. One is called the exoteric side of our faith, which is the outer side of our faith, that deals with the rites and rituals. Like, how do we go and pray in our place of worship? Do we kneel down? Do we listen to some music? Do we ring a bell? Do we light a candle? These are our outer signs of imbibing our faith into our own lives. But all of them also have an esoteric side, which is the inner side of our faith. And that deals with our soul, our spirit. That deals with the flights of the soul. That deals with our conscious being. That deals with our relationship with God. And when you dig deep into every faith, you find out that the founders of the faith had some kind of an experience of God. Whether they sat in silence, they sat in a cave, or the skies opened up and there was a revelation. There was some kind of an experience that they had physically, beyond what we experience through our physical senses. Everything that we experience in this world is through one of our five physical senses. Either the sense of sight, which is a predominant sense, or the sense of hearing, or the sense of smell, taste, or touch. Scientists are telling us that 83% of what an average person does in a day-to-day life is based on a sense of sight. Because we say, I saw it myself, it can't be wrong. This has to be correct because I saw it. The next dominant sense is our hearing. They say 14% of the activities that we do are based on sense of hearing. We all say, I heard it, you can't tell me you didn't say this. I heard it myself. And then 3% of our activities are based on a sense of smell, taste, and touch. And as we live at the level of these physical senses, what is happening? Our interaction is with others who are also made of matter. This human body is made of matter, so is everything else in this physical world. And as we start to recognize that, we realize that our interaction is happening with others, with his human beings, with his animal, bird, fish, with his buildings, with everything that's made of matter. And that's why when our interactions are there, they are never going to last for a long time. Might be there for a while, but they're not going to be lasting for all times to come. And so the esoteric side of our faith, which talks about consciousness, which talks about that thing in our life which we cannot see, which we cannot hear, with these eyes or with these ears, then to many people that looks like very abstract. They say, how is that possible? Because all we experience through our physical senses. You know, those of you who might have seen someone who's physically passed away, and if you go and look at them, it's not that the body has shrunk. When you see someone who's passed away, you start to realize, what is it that has gone from this person? This person was alive. They could talk, they could walk, they could see, they could have feelings. And all of a sudden, nothing can be happening with this body. So our traditions talk about a soul which inhabits the body. The powerhouse which gives it power. That soul which is a part of the Creator. That soul which is a part of the Oversoul, in the East we call Atma, is a part of Paramatma. Atma is a drop of the ocean of all consciousness of God. And that soul, as long as it is in the body can function. But once that soul leaves the body for good, never to come back into that human body, we say this person is dead. So what do? Based on our faiths, we either cremate the body or we bury the body. These are the traditions which is used in many places in the world, based on whatever faith we belong to. But when you look at those activities, what are they really? When you cremate the body and you put fire to the body, then you're taking every part of the body and putting it back into nature. You can well imagine if you're alive and if even a candle comes in close to your finger, how much heat there is. But we put fire to the body because that's what our tradition is, because we realize, hey, this now is only a matter. It has nothing to do with this person. The person is gone. So we say, okay, the body is made of matter, let's put it back into matter. And the same thing happens when we bury the body. We put it in the ground. And that it's coming from the ground, let it go back into the ground. Because in the back of our heads we realize that the real person is gone. Okay? And so the saints say, let us not wait till the end of our life to recognize who the real being is. If you recognize who that real being is, then you'll be able to attain those states which are going to beyond this physical world, beyond this physical existence. So in all of our traditions, there is talk about sitting in silence. Some people call it praying with attention, some people call it inversion, some people call it concentrating within, some people call it meditation. The techniques are very, very similar, But these are techniques that are used in all kinds of religious tradition to sit in silence and let the will of God guide us. Yeah. We're searching for God. But we search here, we think this is a holy place, we should go here. Maybe if we go here, we'll do something happen. Maybe we do some fasting, or we do some other penances, or we do something with our places of worship, we're going to find God. But God is within each and every one of us. Each and every faith talks about what is called the Shabad, or the Naam, or the Holy Word, or the divine light and sound of God. That there's this creative power of God. Kabir Sahib has talked about it in the following way. He says, Awwal Allah Noor upaya, Kudrat ke sab bande. Ek Noor se sab jag upja, kaun bhale kaun mande. Kabir Sahib is saying, in the beginning was God, and from God came this creative power. We can call it Shabd, we can call it Udgit, we can call it Naam, or Holy Word, or the creative power. And it brought all creation into being. And so Kabir Sahib is saying, who are we to say that this is high and this is low? Because if everything came from God, it's one and the same. And that is the vision of the saints and mystics. When you look back at history, we find that all kinds of people flocked to the saints and mystics. And to them it did not matter if someone was a person coming from a higher level of whatever we call in this worldly status, if the person was educated or uneducated, if the person was one faith or another, if the person was someone who in this world we think is a good person, had good virtues than them, or someone who was a thief or a murderer or someone else. Because they were not looking at the outer signs of the person, they're looking at the soul, the spirit, the soul which is part of God, a soul which has the same characteristics as God, a soul which is loving, a soul which is caring, a soul which is humble, a soul which is truthful. And that's how we need to look at others in our lifetime too. And this is what all of our faiths are telling us to do. Now, we are searching in the wrong direction. We're always searching in the world outside. Another little story, which makes a good point, is about a person who lost his keys. He lost his keys and he's searching for them. So he's outside the house, he's searching here. All of a sudden, some of the neighbors are passing by. And someone says, what are you doing? He says, oh, I lost my key, I'm searching. He said, let me help you. Okay, comes and starts searching. Pretty soon, another neighbor comes, what are you guys doing? He says, oh, this guy lost his key, we're helping him search. So then they start to search. Pretty soon they have about a dozen people. Another person comes, he says, what are you doing? He said, we're searching the key. He said, so he asked the person whose key it was, where did you see it last? He said, I saw it inside the house. He said, why are you searching outside? He said, it's too dark on the inside. This is what we all do. We're searching for God, but we're searching for God and the world outside. We're searching for happiness and peace. We're searching for those states outside. We think objects of this world will make us happy, they'll make us joy, they'll be fulfilling. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj in one of his other verses, another shabd said, Sab kich ghar mein, bahar nahi. Bahar tole so baram bulai. He's saying everything that you want is within you. There's nothing on the outside. Outside is a world of illusion, it's a world of maya. It's temporary, it's not a permanent life. All the permanence is within you. All the treasures of divinity are within each and every one of us. We just need to invert. The key to peace and joy is within us. We're always searching on the outside. And the techniques of going within are those which will put us in a state where our soul, which is defiled by layers and layers of mind, matter, and illusion, would then be cleansed. You know, these days we're all talking about detoxifying the liver and detoxifying other parts of the body, and detoxification become very, very popular. And you go on this 5-day thing or a 10-day thing or a 30-day thing, or you're getting the body well. And what is very interesting is, even when you get the body well and you've detoxified all of the physical organs, you still are not happy. You still are not peaceful. There's still stress and strain in our lives. So I've been recommended we better detoxify our mind, because our mind is the one which puts stress into our life. The doctors are now realizing that there's a body-mind connection. You know, as soon as something happens which is contrary to what we believe, you know, we have all of these small particles go running around in our body, and then anger comes in, okay? Because someone is doing something which we don't think they should do. Because our understanding is one way, and their understanding is another way. And so we expect them to behave as we think they should behave, but we live in a very multicultural world today, like let's say in Washington. I'm sure you have people here from all over Europe, from South America, from Asia, from Australia, from America for sure. And when so many people come in and live together and their cultures are different, you're bound to have differences. You know, I remember when we opened our center in Chicago many years ago, and we had a lot of people who came from South America. And South America, the cultures are different than they are here. And so then they came and complained to me. They said, the people here don't welcome us. I said, what happened? They said, no, we come here and no one hugs us and all they do is shake our hands. So I said, hey, in this country, shaking hands is a great welcome. I mean, they are welcoming you as well as they can. That's all they do. But if you come from a culture where when you meet someone, you have to give them a hug, or you have to give them a kiss on the cheek or something, if they don't get that, they feel very uncomfortable. Okay? So we all bring our own cultures and our own backgrounds together, and we all are living together. So when you go to work, you find people from all backgrounds. So there are bound to be differences of doing something in a certain way. And this is what brings stress into our life. And that stress is going to bring havoc into our physical being. You know, our difficulties with the heart are based on stress. That's what the doctor is telling us today. Difficulties in our breathing process are based on stress. Difficulties in our digestive system are all based on stress too. And so, stress which comes from our mind is what needs to be dealt with. And so, detoxing the mind is what gets us to a state of happiness and joy which is perpetual. Now, first we need to recognize what is it that is troubling us. Anger, greed, attachment, panic, expectations. All of this keep us from being happy. They put us in a state where we get negativity come into our life. And then the turmoil is coming, so there's more stress and more stress and more stress. As we recognize what is troubling us, then we need to take these poisons out of our system. Then we need to find a mechanism, how do we take these poisons out of our system so that they're not bringing pain or illnesses or sicknesses to us. The techniques, like I said before, in all of our traditions are sitting in silence. It's in the silence of the body, it's in the silence of the mind that we're able to hear the divine sound and light of God which is within ourselves. God has what is called this holy word, holy naam, holy shabd, which is reverberating within each and every one of us 24 hours a day. All of our TVs also shut down at night. But this divine current of light and sound of God is within each and every one of us all the time. It's inviting us to come back to God. But our attention, which is the outer expression of our soul, is going out into the world. So when we sit in silence, then only we can hear it. Otherwise there's so much chattering all around us that we get entangled in the chattering of the world outside. So the key is to sit in silence, to silence the body. So how do we silence the body? You know, our 5 senses, our sense of sight, smell, hearing, taste and touch, are what distract us. They take our attention to the world outside. So what do? We find a quiet place to sit down to meditate. It could be a place in the home, it could be a place at work, it could be, we could, more than one person can sit together and meditate. It could be in a whole group. But the place should be quiet. If there's any noise in the place, any sounds in the place, we would be distracted and we go into those areas. Our attention will go there. Now, when we sit down to meditate, we make sure that no part of our body is touching someone else, because if any part of our body touches the person next to us, if they move, we would be distracted, so a sense of touch is withdrawn. We're not going to eat as we meditate, so our sense of taste is withdrawn. We don't need to change the atmosphere wherever we are, so there's no need to light agarbattis or incenses or something to make this area more spiritual or more holy. We feel God created everything. Everything is created under God's grace. So every place is holy, we can meditate any place. So our sense of smell is withdrawn then, because if we were to put some incenses and other things, then our sense of smell would take us out there. So we want that to be out of the picture. And then we close our eyes. So it's very easy to withdraw the 5 physical senses. So it's very easy to get the physical body to be calmed down, to be quiet. Now, as soon as you close your eyes, something very interesting happens. Whosoever it might be, as soon as you close your eyes, you will be bombarded with thoughts. The thoughts are coming from the mind. You might think about your doctor's appointment tomorrow. You might think about meeting with your accountant. You might think about taking the kids to whatever classes you have them in. You might think about a meeting that you might have had with someone else. Any thought is a distraction. And what is very interesting is, things that you never think about also come to you when you close your eyes and sit for meditation or sit in silence. Why? Because the mind does not want us to know God. Our mind is a lover of enjoyment on the world outside. So Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj would say that the mind is like a 1,000-headed serpent. It can kill you by any means. It might elate you, it might depress you, it might put you in this direction, it might put you in that direction. So don't fight with the mind. Love the mind and ask it to also help you. Mind is very good in repeating things. It's just like if you tell the mind that we should do this once a week or once a day, then it reminds you, So the key is, we all want to meet the Maker. We all want to see God. We want to connect with God. We want to experience God. So we have to put the mind to God. So how do we do it? We do a mental repetition of God's name. You can repeat any name of God, and if you don't believe in God, you can repeat any name which is loving to you, which will give you peace. Some name which is going to be talking about the good traits of the Creator. Most people repeat God's name. In many traditions, people repeat one name of God. In other traditions, people repeat 2 names of God. Some people repeat 5 names of God. All traditions are different. But the process is not that different. The process is very, very similar. I travel all around the globe, and I used to go to a monastery and see what the monks doing there. It's another tradition. And so they all sit in silence. They might not call it meditation, they might call it something else. But all of the traditions have this inner side of our faiths, which is not practiced by most people. And that's the side that we need to focus on. So our mind, as we have the mind focus on God by repeating God's name, so the energy of the mind is used in that direction. Those of you who go to a science class, if you look at mercury in a test tube, a mercury never stays still. It's always moving. So our mind is like that. So if we think we can shut the mind off, that's not possible. So we give something to the mind to do so that energy is used in being focused on God. And in that situation where the physical body is stilled and the mind is not sending any thoughts to us, we connect with what is called the divine light and sound of God, the celestial music within. It manifests in either light that we experience. It could be flashes of light in the beginning, then lights that stabilize, and it could be sky, stars, moon, sun, and many, many other vistas open up. It manifests also as divine sound current, as divine sound. All instruments of this world need human intervention. Whether you play a harmonium or a sitar, you need either hands, you play the drums, and some people play something with their feet, some people like a harmonium play with the mouth. You need something to play, to produce music. But the music which has been put into play by God needs no human intervention. And what you hear inside is much, much more melodious than what we hear with our outer ears. And so as we close our eyes, what we are experiencing inside, the light and sound is not by these outer eyes or outer ears. So what we experience is from here, which is called the seat of the soul. It's called the single eye, the third eye, the Shivneta, the Dasmadvar, the Nukta Sufeda. It's got different names in different languages. It's an opening into the world outside. Our eyes, our ears, and all of our other senses open to the world outside. This is an opening to the regions within. It's an opening to all the spiritual regions which are all within ourselves. And so as we're able to connect at this region, and as our inner eye and our inner ear start to open up, then we start to experience the divine light and the divine sound of God. And as we connect with this divine power, then the grime which is settled on our soul for eons and eons starts to be removed. It's just like a cleansing process which just like the light dispels darkness, this connection with the divine current within ourselves dispels all kinds of layers and layers of mind, matter, and illusion which are covering our soul. So that our soul starts to get cleansed. Our mind starts to get detoxified, so it's in a state where it's not able to send any more difficulties in our direction. And it's then that we start to experience ourselves truly, because it's said in most of the scriptures. In the sixth scripture it says, Aaj Sach, Jugad Sach, Hai bhi Sach, Nanak Hosi bhi Sach, which means what was true in the beginning, the God was there in the beginning, that was true then, is true today, and it'll be true till the end of creation. In the Holy Bible it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The God and the Holy Word are one and the same. The Holy Word emanated from the Creator and is there forever. And so as we connect with it, there's a cleansing that happens on the inside. And as that happens, there's calmness, there's peacefulness, there's serenity. We are in harmony with the divine, and then that lasts and lasts and lasts. So when you start to meditate, in the beginning as you close your eyes, it takes you a little while for you to maybe start to experience flashes of light, circles of light. Lights could be of various colors. So what exactly is happening is, no one's bringing torches and putting lights in your eyes. The light of God is within each and every one of you. When you concentrate, you experience the light. When you're distracted, you experience darkness. This is why it looks like flashes of light. But then as you meditate and as you practice on a daily basis, with time, to you it seems like the lights have stabilized. Why? Because then your concentration has improved, so you're not being distracted. And then you have many, many other vistas. And the more you connect with the divine light, the effect of it is not only for the time that you meditate or sit in silence, but for long periods afterwards. So that the joy and the peace and the tranquility that you found within will last through for many, many, many hours beyond. And this is why many people meditate early in the morning. I'd like to leave you with a very simple meditation. If you enjoy it, you can use it in your homes. And I hope and pray that gives you solace and peace and joy within. So this is a very simple technique. Just sit as comfortably as you can. Because this is a technique which has nothing to do with the physical body. We're trying to still our mind and we're trying to connect with our soul. So we can be in any position. But you should take up a position in which you can stay still without moving. Because if you move, you'll be distracted. It's a crowded room, so if you're touching someone, if you can be a little here and there, it's nice if you don't touch someone, because if they move, you'll be distracted. Or if you move them, you can distract them. The place is quiet, so a sense of hearing is withdrawn. We're not changing the atmosphere. Since the smell is there, we're not giving any food right now to anyone. So sense of taste is gone. So close the eyes very gently, making sure your eyeballs are straight. Focus in front of us. Many people think that the seat of the soul is here between and behind the two eyebrows. They try to raise their eyeballs. But please don't do that. Let us understand that these outer eyes are to see objects of the physical world. When we raise them here, then from an engineering point of view, you'll see that you're going to put pressure on your forehead, which might culminate in a headache. So please make sure that your eyeballs are straight, they're out of the picture. All we want to do is close them so nothing in front of us distracts us. As soon as you close your eyes, repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. Whatever is comfortable to you, can do. Or any name which is peaceful or which will give you calmness would be okay too. Just repeat it mentally, not out loud. If you do it out loud, your ears would hear them and you would be distracted. With time, you'll be able to experience some vistas of light open up for you. Could be flashes of light, could be circles of light. Lights could be of any color. Golden, white, red, blue, green, yellow, orange, any other color. Just keep your gaze right in the middle of the experience. With time, to you will look like as if the lights are stabilized. What has really happened is your concentration is getting better and better and better. And then as you enjoy the light within, you'll find like a calmness and a peacefulness overtake your being. And that will last for long periods after you sat to meditate. So I pray to God Almighty to help each and every one of us here connect with the divine power within. And my prayer to the three great spiritual masters of the past century, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj, and Dayal Purush Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj, to help each and every one of us here experience the divine power in its full effulgence. I will be sitting just for a few minutes and I'll be getting out of this meditative state, and my best wishes are with each and every one of you. Please leave off.